Hello students, welcome to grade 12 biology. Today we are going to start lesson 4, populations, but before we directly go to today's lesson, let's recap and see the main points that we have seen in the previous lesson. In the previous lesson, we have discussed about biomes. And we have said that biomes are geographical areas that have specific climate conditions, a specific soil type, and a specific plant and animal species. We have seen that biomes can be categorized into two based on where that biome is found. And we have seen that terrestrial biome and aquatic biome. Today we are going to see populations. And this subtopic has its own objectives and competencies. At the end of this section, you will be able to compare and contrast arithmetic and exponential growth, population growth. You will be able to compare intraspecific and interspecific competitions. You will be able to describe and explain factors that influence the rate of population growth. That includes natality, birth rate, mortality, and death rate, and other factors. You will be able to interpret population growth rate curve. Now let's proceed and see the definition of population. Students, it's your time to define what is population. Well done. Population are a group of organisms of the same species in a specific area. Group of organisms living of the same species. They have to be the same species living in a specific area. Now we are going to see also terms related to the topic so that you can understand the subtopic very easily. One of the terms that you need to understand is habitat. Habitat is a natural environment where species live. Natural environment where species live is known as habitat. Community interaction of different populations. We have seen that populations are organisms of the same species living in a specific area, and different populations that interact make up community. There is also another term known as niche, and let's define ecological niche. An organism describes its role within the habitat. The role in the habitat is known as ecological niche. In one habitat, there could be different organisms and different niches. Geographical range is a part of the Earth's surface where members of particular species live. Geographical range. So these terms are very important in our discussion so that you can understand this subtopic very easily. Let's try and to answer this. How can several populations live in the same area? Is it possible to have in same area, different populations? For example, let's take aquatic environment. Let's take a pond as an example. In a pond, there could be a population of many different organisms. They are able to live in the same area because each of the different habitats in that area, we can have in the pond plankton organisms that exploit the open water region of the pond. That is one population. And we can have decomposers that inhabit and found at the bottom of the pond. At the bottom, we can find decomposers. And we can also find snails browse the surface of the sediment at the bottom of the pond and graze small organisms. So these all have are different population. Plankton population, decomposer population, and snail population are different populations which are found in one area. The ecological nature of an organism describes the role within the habitat. We have seen in the definitions of terms that are very important in our discussion. And let's have the example of ecological nature. Both floating plants and tadpoles are found in the open water habitat. In the open water habitat, we can find floating plants as well as tadpoles, which are different population. Here, plants use sunlight, carbon dioxide, water, and minerals from the water, whereas so that they can photosynthesize and they can undergo the process known as photosynthesis. So, whereas the tadpoles feed on the larvae of insects, but tadpoles are not participating in photosynthesis. Rather, they feed on larvae of insects. So, in the same area, there could be different role, and this is known as ecological nature. So they have different ecological nature. The ecological nature of floating plant and the ecological nature of the tadpole is different. Ecologically, they are different. For example, we can differentiate them in feeding habit. One is consumer and the other is producer. Floating plants are producers. They can produce their own food and they can synthesize their own food. Whereas in the case of tadpole, they are consumers. They feed on larvae of insects. So different ecological nature. Now it's your turn again to answer this question. What factors influence the size of population? What are factors that affect population size of population?